So I'd like to thank you, Athena, for that wonderful introduction, and I'd like to thank the 3 teachers that got up here and talked to us. All of you were inspirational, and I especially like to thank you, Miss Fulton, because even though I don't know you personally, I'm here speaking, and I'm not a public speaker, so occasionally I'm nervous. And so that little exercise definitely helped to relieve some of the tension that I have right now. And so I am nervous, but I'm here. And I'm here because what I have to say I feel is important. And I feel that that message is worth any of the 10 minutes of anxiety that I'm going to have standing up here. And so what I want to do is I want to talk to you guys about 3 questions, 3 simple questions. And the first of these 3 questions, and if you could answer just by a show of hands, how many of you believe we should help veterans? So just about everybody in this room believes we should help veterans, right? So then why don't we? Why don't we do enough to help these people? These people who put their lives on the line for our country, for us, for our freedoms. And there are 20 million veterans right now, and with that amount of veterans, you'd think that there'd be some system of monitoring their status, their well-being, their health, right? No, there's not. I mean, there's the Department of Veteran Affairs, but most of that is self-reported. If you have an issue, you have to go and report it. There's not somebody that's coming in to check on you, a veteran, who put your life on the line, who, excuse me, who sacrificed your time, your energy, and for some people, their lives. And so there's this certificate called the Presidential Memorial Certificate. And what that certificate is for those veterans who lost their lives, who sacrificed their life in the line of duty or after. It's a letter from the White House, and what it says is thank you. It says thank you for your service. We honor your sacrifice. We honor your service to this country. But you have to report that. And if you're a veteran and you're now dead, how are you going to report that? So what happens is a family member or a friend that you know has to report that. And so you report that, and when do you get that certificate? Up to 16 weeks later. That's 4 months. What is a piece of paper 4 months from when your friend or your family member died going to do anything for you? Nothing. And so we all know that the problem is helping veterans. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about a solution. And so I want you guys to imagine yourself in 3 positions. The first of which is you're a 19, 20, 21-year-old person, and you're on a boat going to the beach of Normandy. And knowingly, you're going into what's expected as mass bloodshed. And so going into the beach of Normandy, I listened to a respected friend of mine tell me how her father, he didn't talk about his experience except for one day. One time, this is the only thing he said. And he was on that boat going to Normandy, and his commanding officer went up to the front of the boat, turned and faced these people, these soldiers, and told them that 2/3 of them wouldn't be coming back. 2/3 of these people wouldn't be going home to their families. And so I want you to imagine being in that person's shoes. I want you to imagine maybe being in the shoes of a veteran who was in perhaps Vietnam, where you don't know who the enemy is, you don't know where the enemy is, and you don't know what's going to happen. You're in constant paranoia, constant fear of what's going to happen to you every minute of every day. Or imagine yourself in a veteran in today's conflicts with IEDs and random explosions. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if that mailbox is going to explode. You don't know what that car holds that's coming down the road. And one thing that I saw on the news that really resonated with me is there was a veteran who had returned home from conflict, maybe 3 months, 6 months, I don't exactly remember, but he committed suicide. And as the hearse was driving down this road in his community carrying this veteran, the community lined the road on each side and stood there and honored him. They honored his service, they honored his sacrifice, they honored his diligence. And the question that came to my mind is, where were these people when this man needed them? Where were they when he was alive? And so it makes you wonder. And there's a quote that anyone who's taken high school, middle school, or elementary school in the last 20 years or so can probably recognize this person. It's, every person knows something you don't. And the quote is by Bill Nye. And so, yes, it's a rather unorthodox person to be talking about veterans, but everyone has a story and everyone has a journey. As Mr. Eline talked about that journey, and Mr. Connolly talked about going on that journey and experiencing and learning and establishing a sort of empathy. And Mrs. Fulton shared her own journey with Pilates. And so everyone has that journey. And so stories in history are being lost because people are slipping through the cracks. The journeys of these veterans, the stories of these veterans are being lost or they're being forgotten. And society has a perception that we already know about the past. We already have read about it through history books or online. And we have outgrown storytelling. We have outgrown face-to-face conversation. We have outgrown learning from personal experience. And so even if you think you know these events of the past, even if you think you know this knowledge, you can always gain a better understanding, a better whole picture of the truth, a more complete understanding. And so I'm not a veteran, I've never been to war, so who am I to say what a veteran has experienced or felt? And this is the solution that I'm offering to you. I ask you to talk. Just talk with someone, and it doesn't have to be someone that you know. It could be someone at an American Legion, someone at a retirement community. It could be your neighbor. It could be somebody that you see out on the street in uniform. And you just have to meet with one person. I'm not asking you to change the world. I'm just asking you to meet with one person and talk, something every one of you do every day. And so my final question is, everybody in this room, or nearly everybody, raised their hand and said they want to help veterans, or veterans should be helped. And so I ask you, will you practice what you preach? Will you go and will you help these people that are in need? And so just as you gave me the chance to tell you about my story, and you gave the chance to hear the stories of Mr. Eline, Mr. Connolly, and Ms. Fulton, and you will give the chance to hear the stories of the speakers to follow, I ask you, will you allow the same opportunity to one of these veterans? Thank you. Is Matthew Hauser, and he's talking about climate change and speaking for the trees.